Today is Tuesday, and I have a lot of work to do, and I don't have a ton of time to do it. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to prep all these things. Maybe if I have time, I'll even get to photograph some and talk about bread and butter brands that I am gravitating toward in 2024. This was actually a really helpful exercise for me personally because I just went over data. I just went over what's been selling well for me and what I've been picking up a lot of that's actually performing well. Really kind of honing in on what these brands that make up the majority of my business are this year. Okay, my hair is a nightmare. Actually, my whole existence is. I just tried to take a thumbnail for this video. I don't know how. I meant to wear a hat today. I actually made a list of 30 bread and butter brands, and I've kind of grouped them together into categories. Let me go grab it. I think this is going to be a helpful little list for me as a reference. Like, it's just kind of a good refresher, like, okay, this is what majority of my business kind of runs on. And then also maybe it'll be helpful for you just to compare. I would be really interested to hear what are the brands that make up like the majority of your business that you're kind of really focusing on when you go sourcing. Okay, so the first category I actually wanted to go over is swimwear because I just talked about that in a video, and I've been going to the swimwear section in the thrift store a whole lot more recently. I think tomorrow I might do a haul of some of the things. I went to the bins and I went to had a pretty good Goodwill trip in which I spent like $150 and I found some good swimwear pieces in that. So I think tomorrow I'll do a haul of those things. But my point being, I thought I'd start with swimwear because a lot of y'all expressed interest that you would like to hear what I'm picking up in terms of swimwear, and spring is coming up. Now is the time to be picking up swimwear. So let me start out by saying a few brands that aren't part of my bread and butter list, but are just really good swimwear brands that if you do come across, it might be worth picking up. But I wouldn't necessarily count them as bread and butter because I rarely come across them in the wild. Well, actually, the first is kind of an exception. Onya. I did actually pick up an Onya piece the other day that I'll show tomorrow. That one's probably the most common. And another thing I have to say about all of the brands on this list, every single one, and virtually every single one ever, except for there are probably 5 super hot brands right now, which I can do a video on in the future if you want me to, that you can basically just pick up anything and it will sell. But for every other brand that exists, essentially, you have to consider more than brand. You have to consider condition, of course. You have to consider style. You have to consider size. How recent is this piece? And for a lot of things, you have to check comps. But Onya there are pieces within Onya that just do really, really well. I'll say for swimwear in general too, before I get into all these brands, when I'm going to the swimwear section within Goodwill, I'm generally looking for one pieces, and then if there are any matching 2 pieces, I'll definitely look at those too. But there aren't as many matching 2 pieces, and I just don't like buying singles pre-owned. It doesn't mean that they can't sell, but they usually take longer to sell, and they obviously don't garner as much. One pieces, there's a one-piece outfit already there for you, and it just sells better. So generally that's what I'm looking for. Onya is one. Vitamin A, really good. And Vitamin A actually is one in which I would pick up a single piece if I saw it, if it was a recent style. Really, really good swimwear brand. Sea Folly is a good one. I really like selling Sea Folly. Mara Hoffman, of course. Really good just spring and summer brand in general. Not just the swimwear, but one pieces by Mara Hoffman do well. There's exceptions, her older stuff is much busier and Aztec print and stuff. Skip that. Don't pick that up. But the more modern pieces, and the tag that I'll put up on the screen is her more modern tag, can do really, really well. And then there are pieces that can go for $200-300, not swimwear, but other pieces of hers. And then L Space is another one that's been around a long time. You know, I did a video on swimwear. If you really want to get into more, do a deeper dive into these types of brands, I'll link that up on the screen. But the bread and butter brands of swimwear that I really like to pick up and look for at the bins, I look for at regular Goodwill, Miracle Suit. I love finding Miracle Suit. Miracle Suit one pieces, the larger the size, the better. It does really, really well. And I've found it a few times at the bins and at the regular Goodwill. But it's kind of just one of those things that I'm like, when I'm in the swimwear section, I'm thinking Miracle Suit, Miracle Suit. Another one is Becca. And the more crochet and interesting of a piece it is, the better it's gonna do. Another one is Tommy Bahama. I mean, obviously Tommy Bahama is not just a swimwear brand, but I really like selling Tommy Bahama one pieces. That's like a bins I find that's really good for me. Of course, if you can find it like new with tags, it's even better. And with swimwear, you might want to smell it and obviously check condition, because some of these pieces can have way too much wear to be able to sell. And if it smells like chlorine, it's kind of hard to get out. And I've had people complain to me about that before. And then my last one, this is maybe my favorite, is La Blanca. I like it because it's pretty easy to find and it just does really, really well. And it doesn't have to be like that interesting of a piece. It can just be like a plain solid color one-piece swimsuit and it'll still do pretty well. But those are my bread and butter swimwear brands that are front of mind when I'm going through the swimwear section. There are, of course, a bunch of others. Like, I love finding Torrid one pieces. I love finding J. Crew one pieces. And I actually don't have Torrid on this list. There's not a plus size section on this list. Because, like I said, I've been struggling with knowing what to pick up within Torrid and what to pick up within Lane Bryant and Eloquy and so forth. And so I basically just pick it up at the bins. But they're not my favorite right now. Okay, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. Okay, so the next category of brands that I did want to talk about are kind of more mature brands. And these are brands that I really only pick up in larger sizes. And when I say more mature, I mean I should say I know a lot of people don't like that term. Honestly, I'm getting more mature. It just means it's an older demographic. But I mean, most of these brands probably could, I don't know, about half probably steer toward an older demographic. And that's where the money is. So, you can be selling these cute little Y2K things all day long. That's fun. But really, the money's with people who have been around a little bit longer, have a little bit of more disposable income. First is Bowden. I love finding Bowden. I'm going to put up both the very new tag, they just released this tag, I think this year, maybe last year, and then the other brand tag before that. There's a brand tag, obviously, even before that and before that. Typically avoid those, but I actually, if you tune into the haul in my next video, I did pick up an older Bowden piece, which is very rare for me to do, but I didn't check comps, I just picked it up. Anyway, you'll see it then. Love finding Bowden. I love really just the dresses is kind of what I tend to pick up. I just go through the dresses section the most. But of course, blazers, outerwear, sweaters can all do well by Bowden. Wait, let me make sure. This is Veronica Beer piece. I want to make sure I steamed it well. Okay, next on the more mature brand list is Eileen Fisher. I will not pick up Eileen Fisher small or extra small anymore, but I love selling Eileen Fisher large and up. Plus size Eileen Fisher is great. There are just so many Eileen Fisher pieces I really have enjoyed selling and have sold well. Good money in relatively short amount of time. So I know it's not everyone's favorite, but newer pieces are going to do better. More substantial pieces are going to do better. Material matters. Wool, linen pieces are going to do really well. Silk. But then also their jersey dresses and so forth, if you get it in the right size, can do really well. So, and I love selling jumpsuits and outerwear by Eileen Fisher. I think those are probably my two favorite categories. Okay, and then soft surroundings. I'm pretty picky with soft surroundings, but I am really excited to sell more of it in 2024. The more embroidered and substantial piece it is, the better. Dresses, outerwear, and then like really styled or well-designed kind of tunic tops I like selling. And then I really will never again pick up small, extra small in soft surroundings. The next brand on this list is similar, Sundance. I literally just, in the last third with me, picked up, in Wednesday's video, picked up a size 4 pair of Sundance embroidered pants. So I'm kind of going against my rule, but generally, I think Sundance I might be willing to do a little bit smaller size sometimes. Sundance is like I think Sundance and Soft Surroundings are catalog brands. Another one that I could have included was Garnet Hill, but didn't. And Sundance was started by Robert Redford, I think. It's a Utah-based brand, and it's definitely very boho, and certain pieces can do really, really well. But when I was in Utah, I went to the Sundance outlet. That was kind of a cool experience. Nothing was cheap enough for me to resell, but it was cool to see everything. And Sundance, and within their catalog, they sell other brands. Something I've started doing is doing research into like different lag and look brands. That would be a good video to do, because I found some websites and some retailers that specialize in it, and there's just so many lag and look brands out there that are really easy to pass on, and thrift stores almost never mark them up. Okay, my camera overheated, but what I was saying was, if you want me to do a log and look video, let me know, or just talk about it in like one of these work with me's. I think that'd be a good topic, and it'd be good for me to do too. I'm like picking topics that I'm curious about looking into further as well. Was that the end of my log and look? Yeah, Soft Surroundings, Sundance, or the more mature brands. Speaking of log and look, actually, I just picked up this from Crossroads, and it's the first time I'm ever selling it Black Crane. I'm really excited to see how it performs. It's a really nice jumpsuit. I think it's, kind of one of those more trendy natural fiber log and look brands, but I've never sold it before. I checked comps. I've heard about it, but I've never sold it, so I'm excited. That's why I love going to Crossroads. I'm excited to see how it does. And because of my bins conversion strategy, I didn't pay that much for it. Okay, so the next is I wanted to just talk about denim brands that are bread and butters for me that I really like selling. This could have been a 30 a list of like 20 to 30 brands in and of itself, but these are just kind of the brands that for whatever reason I have just been picking up and selling really well. The first is Can. I don't really buy it at regular Goodwill. Maybe I would buy if it was a good size, excellent condition, and half off, but I do almost always pick it up when I see it at the bins. It's just a really solid, doesn't sell for a lot, but will sell like very consistently. I feel like it's a brand that does well on Mercari. I could be wrong. And then similarly, I won't pick this up very often at a regular Goodwill, but that's honestly because our Goodwills mark it up so much. If I lived in a regular place, like town, where they didn't mark it up to $14.99, or I could get it for like $5, I would pick it up at a regular Goodwill, and that is NYDJ. And specifically, I like larger sizes. I love selling the Curves 360 by NYDJ. If you are picking up larger sizes, just make sure you check between, because I always forget to do this, the thighs, and make sure it's not like too pilled or too thinned material. That goes for like all larger size pants. I always forget to do that. And then I love the Maryland style. And I will actually pick up smaller sizes of the Maryland style. I've had last time I sold Maryland style jeans on eBay is in a 4 petite. And the lady messaged me and was like, "Do you have any more in 4 petite? These fit me perfectly." And I was like, "No, but if I come across them, I'll let you know." So I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, if I come across a 4 petite in NYDJ Maryland, it might even be a guaranteed sale." So petite sizes do well. I really like NYDJ. It just sells really consistently. Again, it won't sell for a ton of money, but that's true for a lot of these brands. And that's the thing is, my bread and butter ideal average sales price is around $30. And then, I go to Crossroads and I do other types of sourcing and, have those Bolo brand moments for items that are going to sell for $70 plus. And that's kind of how I land at average sales price of 40-ish, I think. Formal wear, the things you have to sit on longer, that will eventually sell for $100. All these things kind of even themselves out to get to about $40 average sales price overall. So the next denim brand I just picked up, it's been a while since I found it. I think some parts of the country you're going to find it more than others, is Judy Blue. I hear a lot of other YouTubers, resellers just say, pick up this. It has an insane sell-through rate, and my experience, though limited, I think I've sold it like 5 times, concurs with that. Whenever I do find it, it does sell quickly. So I'm excited to get the one I just picked up listed, and that was in the Thrift With Me that I just posted, which I'll link up on the screen in case you missed it. Then my last one, debatable if this is really a bread and butter, but I do actually find it, not often, but I do find it at Goodwill. I've found it like one time at the bins, and there are ways of acquiring this brand, like going through online arbitrage or buy, sell, trade. There's a lot of it out there. It's Mother. It's going to generally sell for a higher average sales price. And so for that reason, I'll pick it up. But whenever I'm in Goodwill at the jean section, that's kind of the brand that's front of mind for me. And I tend to pick up almost exclusively blue denim, like the printed pants and the gray denim. Something I will not pick up ever again are jeans with racing stripes on the side or tuxedo stripes. That is such a saturated style. Don't pick that up. And then I feel like the sweet spot in sizes is like 26 to 30, but you can certainly still sell smaller sizes in the right styles and so forth. So yeah, those are kind of my 4 denim brands that I thought of to put on this list. I'm probably forgetting a good amount, but that's what I came up with. Okay, and then the next is athletic wear, and these are all like duh. But some people are cooling off on these brands, and some people don't like them at all. So I thought I would just, take a stand and say I like them still. And of course, it's style dependent. Lululemon is the first one. I mean, there's some people who are going to say Lululemon's not a bread and butter brand. True. I don't know. That's true. I come across it at the bins like maybe once a trip. I've come across it, which I think is pretty consistent. I don't really ever find it at my regular Goodwill priced well enough for me to pick up. Sometimes I do. I shouldn't say never, but it's pretty rare. I also just don't go through the athletic wear section at Goodwill. I mean, Align leggings by Lululemon, black ones, they just sell, and they do, for like 50 to 60 bucks. You gotta include it. And then there's a bunch of other styles that just do well. So, of course, I'm not picking up old tank tops. In fact, I came across a bunch of older bras and tank tops at my last bins trip, and I did not pick them up. I was disciplined and said, no, we don't do that anymore. Outerwear, sweaters, pants, leggings, skirts. Skirts by Lululemon, very good category. So, Lululemon, no brainer for me. That's a good, to me, it's bread and butter, but I know that's not the case for everyone. And of course, it's just because it's not selling for as much as it used to doesn't mean it's not selling. I think it's a common fallacy. People just price it the same that they used to be able to price it like 3 years ago and are confused why it's not selling, and you just have to check comps and price accordingly. Beyond Yoga, same thing, but I find this Beyond Yoga space dye pieces do really well. I just sold a pair of shorts really quickly, sold a crop top really quickly. Another thing that sells really well by this brand, which is technically kind of a different sister brand, is Beyond the Bump, which is their maternity line. It does really, really well if you ever find that stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of Beyond Yoga I won't pick up, but the newer pieces and that space dye kind of soft, stretchy fabric just tend to do really well for me. So I love when I find that. And then the last athletic wear brand, and I've heard a lot of people say they're cooling off on this, is Athleta. And Athleta's been around for a long time. I mean, it's it's Gap's athletic brand. So of course there are going to be a lot of styles you don't want to pick up. But the newer stuff, especially their more popular styles, like the Brooklyn pant or like a bunch of wide leg pant, I would say that Basics by Athletic kind of do the best. I picked up a Brooklyn jumpsuit that did really well. I just really, really like selling Athletic. Easy to list. You can find the, style number, oftentimes the style name, and the season it's from right on the materials tag. If it's from like a 2020 or 2021 and up, then worth looking up. If it's like a printed or a colorful piece, I'm more hesitant to pick it up. And then tops, unless it's from the bins, I just generally don't pick up. Next on the list, and this is actually fitting because I am currently steaming this COS bomber cardigan, which I was trying to look up this style last night, and there's a bomber jacket on their website right now that retails for like $248. That's 100% wool. I think this piece might do well. I'm hoping for it. Anyway, the three brands have kind of grouped together are COS and Other Stories, which are both owned by H&M, or they're in the same, company group as H&M, and Aritzia brands. I've grouped these together because, I don't know, they're trendier, but they're also kind of understated pieces. They're not super stylized and hyper designed. It's easy to pass on them, and I'm also very picky with these brands, but they've been performing well for me, so, especially COS. I have not been picking up And Other Stories, and I don't come across it like too often, but I need to do some research into, what is selling well. But when I was selling it, it was doing well, and so I put it on this list because it's something that I want to sell more in 2024, and I'm just picky with what it is I'm going to sell by them. And then the Aritzia brands I like picking up are Babaton and Wilfred. There are other brands like Sunday Best and TNA I generally just pass on, or I'll take it to Crossroads if I find it at the bins in excellent condition. A lot of times TNA especially is like not in good condition. TNA's like their, loungewear, athleisure type brand. Lots of sweatpants and stuff like that. And I'm very picky with Babaton, Wilfred, but there are certainly a lot of pieces that can do really well. So more kind of on trend recent pieces. And of course, like, more substantial, the better. And then my next category are shoes. I mean, I could obviously do a whole list of shoes, but these are the two that, I really do like selling a lot. Well, actually, one of them I haven't been picking up much, but I'm going to start picking up more, and that is Dansko. I mean, the thing with Dansko is a lot of times when I find it, it's just not in good enough condition to pick up, but I want to start picking it up more. But my all-time favorite, probably, shoe brand to sell is Vionic. I love selling Vionic. It sells so consistently for me. I think both of these shoes are, for people who are conscious of orthotics and comfort. I can relate because I have bad feet. I'm wearing Vionic slippers. Vionic slippers can do really well right now that I got actually at the bins. They were in excellent condition. I decided to keep them, and I'm so glad I did because I wear them every day. Love Vionic, love Dansko. They're just two of my favorites. And Vionic, if I get it for the right price, I will pick up almost anything. But I will say, some athletic shoes, some sneakers just don't do well. And there are, of course, styles by both of these brands that just aren't going to do well. Lots of styles, probably. Okay, and then the next category is kind of like shapewear type brands. Spanx is obviously on that list. I love Spanx still. I will not pick up extra small, and probably not even small in Spanx at all. Will not do it anymore. But medium and up, I'm picking up. I'll pick up the jeggings. I'll pick up the faux leather leggings. I'll pick up bras. Shapewear if it's in excellent condition. Oh, but I will not pick up Assets by Spanx. I think that's either the Kohl's or Target line within Spanx. So don't be fooled. Don't pick that up. In the haul that I'm going to do for the next video, I picked up a Spanx piece I'm really excited about. I actually paid up for it too, so I'm excited to show y'all then. Okay, so I actually have 3 other brands in this category. Skims, I've been picking up more. I think I've only picked up 3 times. I love finding it at the bins. That's essentially the only place I've found it. It tends to do well for me. Honey Love, I haven't found it in a while, but it does so well for me when I found it. In fact, the last time I found it, I just auctioned it off on Whatnot, but I would have loved to sell that piece. I just love finding Honey Love. It's a really, really good brand. It does really well. I'll pick up bras, I'll pick up tanks, I'll pick up whatever. The last time I found it was like a pair of shorts or something, or a piece of shapewear that was like a girdle type thing. And then Commando, which was in this haul. Love selling and finding Commando. I've only found it out in the wild, I think, 2 or 3 times, but it's definitely a brand worth knowing. I'm really excited to get this one listed. Yeah, those are the 4, but there are more, especially if you expand the category to bras and so forth. That's a whole other list of 20 you could do, but 20 to 30. I love selling bras that I find at the bins. If you want me to talk more about that, let me know. But I mean, honestly, if you just watch hauls and stuff, you'll see me pick it up often enough. And then the next, so we're almost done with this list. Next are my like holy grail. These are the 4 that probably make up the majority of pickups or sales. I don't know. At least they used to. And of course, style matters significantly with these brands. The 4 brands, and they're always just going to be on this list, probably. Free People, Madewell, J. Crew, and Anthropology. It's funny because Madewell I talked about in my brands I'm no longer picking up, but it's true. It's both a brand I love picking up and I have to be extra selective with. But I still love selling and I love finding good pieces by Madewell. So let's just start talking a little bit about Free People. Free People like maxi dresses, certain styles. I pass on 99% of Free People I come across. But if you do your research enough, or if you just have an eye for what's trendy, if you just stay on top of the pulse of Free People and what's selling, it's a really good idea because you're going to come across it often enough where you're going to find a piece that's going to sell well. Like I mentioned before, Free People beach maxi dresses sell really well. There's just a lot of Free People that I really like selling. But again, you have to be selective. Madewell, same thing. I won't buy skinny jeans by Madewell anymore, unless maybe they fell into my lap at the bins in excellent condition in a larger size. I won't buy smaller sizes unless, again, the bins and it was a good style. But like 24, 25, I can't seem to move it, especially skinny jeans in those sizes. And then like all other categories in Madewell, I really look for what's recent and what's really cute. And then I'll also check comps, especially if I'm going to pay up for it. If it's a bins piece, I can always take it to Crossroads. I still really like selling Madewell, so I'm certainly not saying that it's a brand I'll never pick up again, or it's a brand that's dead to me. It's not. And then similarly, J. Crew. J. Crew honestly might be the best one out of the 4 right now. There are just a lot of styles within J. Crew that sell really fast. Like I picked up that, what I thought was pajamas, but it actually ended up being a beach set in a Thrift With Me, which I think I mentioned at the beginning of this video, but if not, I'll link it up on the screen. The really good one where I found Arc'teryx. Also found that J. Crew, and it sold so fast. I just recently sold 2 J. Crew blazers for over $100. Love selling J. Crew. So, I mean, obviously you have to be hyper selective when it comes to J. Crew, but there are pieces within that brand that just can do really, really well. And the more recent ones are obviously going to do better, but then when it comes to blazers, and outerwear, you can sell older pieces too, and they'll do well. And then Anthropology, I basically only pick up Anthropology, like the 2 brands I'm picking up most of the time, or the 2 tags are Maeve by Anthropology, and it has to say by Anthropology on there, or else I won't even consider it, or by Anthropology, which is a fairly recent like brand within Anthropology. Like by fairly recent, it's probably like the past 5 years. But like all the other brands within Anthropology, I generally will pass on, especially a lot of the ones that they've kind of phased out, and there are millions. I'm like Saturday, Sunday, Levensies. I mean, there's just so many that I'm not going to get into it, but I don't really pick that stuff up anymore or even consider it. But like Anthropology plus size, I love finding. They're like A+ line. Obviously not everything's going to do super well, but the really cute stuff does well. And that's the thing with all 4 of these brands is you kind of just have to know like what's their customer base into. And it's like, I think a lot of millennial and Gen X women, like Anthropology definitely steers a little bit older, and Madewell is like millennials, and Free People probably too, probably J. Crew too. It's basically me. Like, what are we looking for? What do we think is cute? And what would we be willing to pay money for on Poshmark? Okay, and then the last 2 brands are wool-centric brands. Smart Wool and Icebreaker. Love them. Love finding them. Love selling them. Really consistent sellers. Sometimes they won't sell for a ton, but they will sell fairly quickly and for at least, you know, around 30 bucks. So, and if you find like the nicer pieces, they'll sell even better, like the outerwear or sweaters, etc. So that's my list of bread and butter brands that I have been really honing in on 2024. I'm sure there are many more, and this is certainly not like I only pick these brands up, but I would be curious if you were to have to select 30, and there's some brands on here that like I rarely find now that I think about it, that if I had to like only pick 30 brands to sell ever, they would not be on here, like Honey Love. But I love selling it, and it's a bread and butter brand, and it's worth knowing, so I just wanted to include it. And I took like 30 minutes to compile this list. But I want to hear from y'all what brands I left off that you love selling, that like is in something that makes up a lot of your sales. And of course, not everything is going to sell within that brand, but certain pieces are just really consistent sellers for you. Okay, well, that is my list. I'm curious to hear y'all's list and hear brands from y'all, but I had fun putting that together and had fun chit-chatting with you while I got the steaming done. Again, any feedback on other topics you want me to talk about is very much appreciated. I'm going to go get this finished, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Okay, love y'all. Bye!